What's up, Dog Nation? This is Jeff Sintel with DogNation.com. It's Wednesday night. We're here on the back porch. It's really, really hot out here, but we're still trying to endeavor to give you guys the best in Georgia football recruiting and the best in Georgia football information going on right now. How is everybody? Got a few things to talk about in this week. Mickey Wilbanks, Bo Bridges. Thanks for you guys being the first two guys through the door. Sit down, make yourself comfortable. I'd like to welcome everybody that's a part of the Before the Hedges podcast. You can find it on Spotify, on SoundCloud, on the Apple Podcast platform, yada, 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 yada. Also like to check in with everybody that's joining us from the Dog Nation homepage. Let me give out some more shout-outs. Big General, Joyce Grantham Dugan, George Wrigley, Jay Swain, Jerry Dogs Fan, Randy Payne, Bob Page, Moose Thames, and Rhett Womack. Rhett, let's start off with that, because I think one of the things I like to do is I try to build a topical show for you today. And the topical, exactly, Derek Tillman. Michael gets mad. He doesn't like the ceiling fan going on. He doesn't like his on-air talent to be comfortable, I guess. He likes him to be sweating. He always tells me to turn the ceiling fan off. But I always try to build up and have a really topical, good little show for you guys. But one of the things I'm going to try to start doing is, right out the box, I'm going to talk about maybe really quickly 3 or 4 things I think that's bubbling up right now in Georgia football recruiting. First, I think maybe the biggest news of the day was the top 3 dropped earlier today by Troy Bowles. Now, Troy Bowles is about 6'1", about 205 pounds. I think he's part of the ideal trio for Glenn Schumann in the 2023 recruiting class. Son of NFL head coach, former defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles. That's Troy Bowles. And first of all, guys, when you watch this guy's film, as I wrote on DogNation.com today, it looks what you might expect an NFL coach's son to look like. Very smart, very good technique. Not going to get beat a whole lot. But one thing that maybe is different for me is that the dude is ferocious. He hits like a missile. He's hyper aggressive. I mean, some of those hits early on in the Troy Bowles tape, and his highlight film is on DogNation.com right now. Some of those hits on the Troy Bowles tape really look like – does anybody remember the program? Does anybody remember Any Given Sunday? Those highly theatrical pro football movies where they're just over the top with incredible finishing move, Mortal Kombat type hits. Well, Troy Bowles' film is full of that stuff, brother or sister. Anybody that's joining us tonight on DogNation.com. So very interesting. He's very hyper aggressive. He's guys down to 3 schools: Ohio State, Oklahoma, Georgia. Ohio State got the last official visit. Georgia got the one in the middle. Oklahoma got the first one. Georgia's been recruiting him for quite a long time. He also has a decision date set for July 16th. July 16th, the month of July, going to be very big. That just kind of adds another I did some camping this weekend, so it adds another log of kindling to the fire to really get things heated up. So that's a big story. Maybe the second big story of the day would be the one late last night when Carr committed, Naquavius Carr out of Colquitt County, Georgia. His head coach, Sean Calhoun, told me last night, unreal speed, unreal hands, unreal burst. Tremendous asset on and off the field for the University of Georgia. He committed to Georgia last night, and I think maybe the subtext you're going to see a lot with Georgia's 2024 class is it's going to start to marinate. It's going to start to pop in the next month or so. That's another reason why July is going to be pretty big. I think Carr even hinted to it after he made his commitment that there's a lot of guys in the 2024 class that's going to come home to Athens as well. I think that's important. I think really, folks, if Carr was in the 2023 class right now, I think a lot of folks would be happy because he's that type of explosive, big play, great game breaker wideout everybody wants to see. I think he's like one of the nation's, depending on where you look at it, I think On3 has him number 34. I think the 24/7 Sports Composite has him at number 66. He's really one of the nation's top 100 prospects in the class. There are other guys that are set to make their commitment this summer as well, where everybody's wondering about receiver. Everybody wants to know about receiver, but Carr is a guy that everybody wants to change the game, change the identity for Georgia at the wide receiver position. That's the type of player you do it with right there. Catching some comments. I think I saw one I want to refer back to. really fast. I thought somebody had a good one as I'm trying to talk and keep up. Hank Major says Kirby train keeps on rolling. Derek Tillman, you got my thing about the program, right? Somebody made a comparison that uh, they thought that Red Womack said 9 Carr is going to be a steal, but I thought I saw one tweet I wanted to go back to, one comment I wanted to go back to. Also, thank you guys on Facebook. Thank you guys on the Dog Nation homepage, and thank you guys on YouTube as well. Alan Hampton says he reminds you of 41. You know, Alan, I get that. That's not a bad take. And I think what he reminds me of is a guy that can really be adept in coverage, his drops, can fill the gap, can go sideline to sideline, can blitz, really explosive, very physical. You know, he really feels a lot like maybe a cross between a lot of Georgia's linebackers. They're really starting to blur the lines for me right now, where Georgia is trying to get a linebacker that can play all 3 downs. That's what they did so much great success with last year, the national champions. But the difference with this program, the way it's trending, is they're going to have that Chase Young type player, that Jarvis Jones type player out on the edge. It's going to get a double-digit sacks the way that they're coming through right now. So also want to say shout out to all our regulars. Hope you guys are having a good week and everything else. Jerry Papa, man, awesome for you to say that, man. Jerry, you got a question? Appreciate you with that kind sentiment right there as well. Yeah, Woodstock 2020. It's another big news of the day. He was right on it as well. Woodstock 2020 is talking about the top 3 dropped by Anthony Evans. Now, recently, Anthony Evans just had a top 8. And it was really a top 4, not a top 3, but his top 4 is A&M, Georgia, Penn State, and Oklahoma. Really feels like Oklahoma and Georgia there between those two. But again, that is a guy that can really put his foot in the ground and go create instant explosion. So that's something to look for in the 2023 class. But July, that's what we're talking about. July. It is very interesting to see what is matriculated so far down the track. And I'm not going to mention guys like, Rico Flores or, Samaj Hampton and guys like that just had Georgia with a hat on the table. Another big news as well is Derek Tillman. You're right. 5-star running back Richard Young has Georgia in his top 3. And really, if you want to get old Jeff talking with some true serum tonight, really the 3 has always been Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State. That's kind of really always been the 3. Everybody else was just trying to wedge their way in there, where, Richard's one of the more low-key, stable worker, not really into this recruiting stuff guys in the 2023 class. And it's always felt like it's those 3 right there. Alabama has usually been the team up front. And, John Thompson. All right, man. All right, let's do this. Let's have interactive Before the Hedges right now. For you guys that are following us on your podcast or on the radio while you're working out or you're driving around, you're not going to get this, but there's a ceiling fan right above me, and everybody's chiming in. So let's take a quick 20-second poll here on Before the Hedges. And I'm going to talk as soon as I get these words out of my mouth. Fan up, fan on, fan down. If you guys want the fan on, I'm certainly going to tell Michael, I'm saying, man, audience is always right. The listeners are always right. Let's give the people what they want here besides a great month of July for Georgia football recruiting. Let me see. Seeing a lot of fans on, Let's look at the month of July so far, okay? So there's been one of the questions we get on forum.dognation.com. Forum.dognation.com is one of them is like, hey, Jeff, come on, man. National champions, finally beat those Crimson Tide. Seems like Georgia's getting a lot of silver medals and bronze medals right now in the 2023 recruiting cycle. You know what? Let's look at it. January. So we start off with July 1st. It was a big month for Georgia football recruiting. I think we've got a graphic that shows, and Georgia really kicked it in with what they did right now for the 2021 class. 2023 class, excuse me. You guys got me delirious with that fan coming on. But There you go, guys. How about that fan? How about them dogs? How about that fan? So, 1st of July, Daniel Harris, cornerback, great guy. I think when we look back at Daniel Harris and what he's going to mean to Georgia and the 2023 recruiting class, let's say Georgia signs 29 guys in this class, kind of plausible, kind of likely. I think Daniel Harris will end up being one of the 6, 7, 8 most important guys in this class. He committed to Georgia on July the 1st. Now we keep moving down the list. And I think the graphic, Michael, we got the graphic here that we prepared for the month of July to look at. The month of July to look at right there. We have July the 4th was Raquez McElderry, who decommitted recently from Georgia just last week. He had a quick recommitment to Alabama. Very interesting how this was a young man that trolled Alabama when he committed to Georgia back in November. And I think really, Alabama is Alabama, in-state kid. One of his teammates at Anderson High School actually went to Alabama in the 2022 class. But I think Georgia's kind of hold on Raquez McElderry, kind of less than we can say there when Matt Luke decided to retire. And then July the 4th, another one, Deshaun Womack. At one time, I really thought maybe kind of sort of really good chance for Georgia to be in the class. I don't think they prioritized Mr. Womack as much as others, but Mr. Womack chose LSU over Georgia and others. July the 5th, another guy that I think is just going to end up being a typical Alabama wide receiver, very explosive, very hardworking kid, doesn't really care about the theatrics of recruiting, won't need to get de-recruited even though he's the nation's #1 JUCO wide receiver. Malik Benson, he of the 10.5, 10.4 in the 100 meters and a 25-foot plus long jump. Folks, that's Champ Bailey territory right there. He chose Alabama. I think Georgia was the second place there as well. And then 2024, last night, Carr decided to park his car in Athens, class of 2024 wide receiver. Top 65, top 75 overall recruit, no matter how anybody looks at it. Kent Caldwell, I saw a quick question. It's about Bowles leaning more towards Ohio State. You live in Tampa and you love the kid. The last visit went to OSU. Anything there? I don't think the last visit's going to matter to a young man like Todd Bowles as well. Other guys coming up down the pipe for the month of July, they're really starting to stack up now. Shamarad Umarov visited Georgia, visited Tennessee, visited Michigan State. Some folks are asking me, some people are wondering, does Umarov jump into the Georgia class now as a plug-and-play replacement, a Control V replacement for Raquez McElderry? I don't think so at this time. Got a couple of more days to think about that, but I think he really had a really strong official visit to Tennessee. July 9th, that also came pretty quickly. Jaden Wayne, the young man, is making a lot of decisions lately. He's moved from his home state of Washington to IMG Academy for his senior year. Looks to me like he's going to make his decision on July the 9th. You hear a lot about Miami there. That's a guy that Jaden Wayne at one time was a 5-star prospect in the 2023 cycle. July 11th, another guy that at sometimes felt like he was going to be a Georgia Bulldog, and then he wasn't going to be a Georgia Bulldog. He's going to make his decision known on July the 11th. Another guy that's going to make his decision on July 11th is JoJo Stone out of Grayson High School, and one of those electric athlete wide receiver type prospects. As some folks have already mentioned in the chats that I'm seeing popping up on our screen, or at least my control panel screen. Lots of top 100 guys in the state of Georgia. I think that's probably because of early evaluations more than anything. I don't know if there's going to end up being 18 players in the eventually from the state of Georgia in the eventual top 100, but that's something to consider right there. The state of Georgia is loaded. However, Troy Bowles, July the 16th, and as I wrote in DogNation.com, probably one of the most integral weeks of the 2023 recruiting cycle for Georgia will be July the 16th through July 23rd. We already mentioned Mr. Bowles, and then you've got 4-star defensive tackle Jamal Jarrett down to Auburn, North Carolina, and Georgia. It really feels like North Carolina and Georgia there. That's his birthday. That's the day he's always wanted for him to make his college decision. He's been tweeting out recently that he kind of sort of knows where home is right now. July the 22nd, we got to visit with Kelton Smith Jr. recently out of Carver Columbus High School. He told me very recently that Georgia is still his leader. He's going to make this decision on July 22nd as well. That's an interior offensive lineman, kind of a hybrid guy. The thing about Kelton is he's got some surgery coming up this month as well. Probably won't be able to go until the first week of his high school season. He's got some meniscus cleanup there. He also missed most of spring practice there at Carver Columbus. And on July 23rd, Janelle Aguero, 5-star safety, back home in Massachusetts for his senior year. He spent the past 2 seasons at IMG Academy, knows what the life of a ball player is there as well. Steve Bryant, go Dogs, U.S. Army retired. Hey, Steve, thank you for checking in. Thank you for your service. Most importantly, G. Bama Boy, hey, welcome in, sir. You want to know who will be Georgia's 2 starting cornerbacks and their 2 safeties? I think if you're talking about for when Georgia plays Alabama in the SEC championship game, it might be a little bit different. But for the week 1, right out of the box at the Benz against Oregon, Georgia's 2 starting corners, I think, will be Kamari Lassiter and Keely Ringo, and I think the safeties will be Chris Smith and probably Dan Jackson. I don't know. Maybe Tyke Smith. I think Tyke Smith might be the guy there. Let me see. OpDog, what are the odds that Julian Sam becomes the quarterback commit for 2024? Also, what does my gut tell you as to where Caleb Downs ends up? Caleb's complicated. I don't think Caleb really knows yet. I think he's going to weigh a lot of factors. I think he's still going to take a visit in the end of July. At times it's felt like Alabama. At times it's felt like Georgia. At times it's felt like At times it's felt like Georgia had a good a shot as anyone. Maybe not completely Georgia, and then Ohio State as well. So remember, we got through that month, the busy month of July so far for Georgia recruiting. I think it's a pivotal month for Georgia with all these big decisions coming. And that's not even counting guys like, Raylan Wilson, who hasn't specified a public decision timeline yet. The same for Justice Haynes. The same for a couple of other big-time prospects out there as well. That's the busy July so far for Georgia recruiting. Michael Hoffman wants to know any other offensive lineman Georgia in on. I think Monroe Freeling out of Charleston is a really impressive guy to look at. Miami's been recruiting him very well. North Carolina's been recruiting him very well. I think Monroe Freeling, that's the guy that's about 6'7", 300 pounds that can pop out a 30-inch vertical. I think if Georgia really comes in after him and Georgia really starts recruiting him like a priority, I think things could change right there in that decision. Somebody asked me about Julian Saying. Yes, I think Georgia has a very good shot there with Julian Saying. When I spoke to him, maybe the day after the Arch Manning decision, it felt like he wanted to make his decision in October, November, and now he wants to make his decision a lot faster, like July, August. And I think really perhaps the best possible quarterback scenario for Georgia to get a quarterback involved in recruiting the class would be a 2024 quarterback like Saying, the number 2 quarterback in the country behind Dylan Raiola. I don't think Georgia's going to get back into the things with Dylan Raiola. Ohio State's just a great fit. Ohio State just won that recruiting battle. And Ohio State has got so many receivers in the program and so many receivers on the way that I think even my good buddy Brandon Adams would say, man, that's enough receivers. Let me push up off this wide receiver 5-star plate here. That's enough receivers. Brandon would probably be saying, let's go sign some offensive linemen or let's go sign some more safeties or linebackers. Bob Wright, hey, man, thank you for joining us as well. And let's just, speaking of all things, I got to remember, you guys got to look in that corner right there on your screen. That is Kroger. This show's brought to you by Kroger. Before the Hedges has always been brought to you by Kroger, a great partner for Dog Nation. One of the things we're doing now during the summer is we want to get you guys boosted up every morning because there's not football games, there's not practice reports to look forward to. Maurice Farmer, the answer to your question is a definitive yes. But one of the things we do during the summer, we've come up with it as a morning boost. You guys know about the Kroger Morning Boost program. Well, if you don't, take a look, take a listen, unbuckle your chip straps, whatever. Here's the morning boost for today from dognation.com.
Every day, the Georgia Bulldogs wake up on a mission to get better and boost their chances of once again winning the national championship. And Dog Nation wakes up to cover it all for you. This is the Morning Boost, presented by Kroger Boost.
Dog Nation, here's your morning boost for Wednesday, July 6, 2022. Everyone knows by now how well the national champions did in the 2022 NFL Draft. Well, the contracts, they've started to get signed, and the Dogs have made out handsomely. Trayvon Walker became the fifth Bulldog to go number one overall. Walker signed a 4-year deal with the Jacksonville Jaguars for a staggering $37 million. That princely sum included a $24.4 million signing bonus. Then there's all-everything defensive tackle Jordan Davis. The Outland Trophy and Chuck Bednarik Award winner now sits in a great spot for the College Football Hall of Fame one day. He was taken number 13 overall by the Eagles. He signed a 4-year, $17 million deal. That included a $9.55 million bonus. Both deals totaling up $54 million and $34 million in signing bonuses are fully guaranteed. Talk about a recruiting and an NFL development boost for the Dogs.
The Morning Boost from Dog Nation is brought to you by Kroger Boost, a new level of membership with Kroger that offers more savings and more benefits. It starts for as little as $59 per year and includes free grocery delivery and twice the fuel points, which means you could save up to $1 a gallon at the pump every time you fill up. That's good news everyone can use, and you can find out more at Kroger.com.
There you go, guys. How about that? $54 million worth of NFL contracts for the Dogs. And, guys, that's just the first two highest paid. That's just the two highest selections for Georgia in the 2022 NFL Draft. Some of the contract data, that's all being released. It's all becoming public right now. And the big thing now that's different with those contracts is now the NFL contracts are also becoming guaranteed contracts as well, which is certainly different than it was just even a few years ago. Of course, rookie deals aren't what they used to be. The NFL signed a collective bargaining agreement about 10 years ago. That was after Matthew Stafford, I think, signed. He got a $42 million signing bonus and a $72 million contract for 6 years. And then right after that, I think Sam Bradford got an absurd amount of money where the NFL Players Association was like, hold on now. We don't need to be giving these rookies all this money. Let's flip the funnel over. Let's make sure that the veterans get the money instead of the rookies coming into the league that might not even do a stinking thing in the NFL. So good thoughts there. That's the Dog Nation Morning Boost for today. And, hey, guys, take advantage of that Kroger Boost. $59, you save up to $1 on gas. Shabazz, hey, man, thanks for the thoughts on the hair. I think you're not being snarky. I think you're being nice, hopefully. Hope you think it is FIE. Michael Dykes wants to know, do I think Arch Manning will flip to the Dogs if Texas has a bad year? No, sir, I do not. Let's see, guys. So let's go top targets. Got some new ones. Got some names moving off. Since we last had our show on our top targets, we've changed a few things. Some guys have drifted off the top targets. A guy like Sadir Mitchell, he was really at the back of the line where he needed to be. He's committed to Texas. Daniel Harris was on the top targets list as well. I think he was running number 9 or 10. He committed to Georgia. And then some other guys off the names to know, names to watch. Those guys, that was Malik Benson. He committed to Alabama. Those are the three biggest movers and shakers off the list. We've dropped it down to 10 names right now. Jordan Big Baby Hall, that's a guy that I think gives me Jalen Carter vibes in this 2023 cycle. Big Baby, great story to share with you guys sooner or later on Dog Nation about where he gets that Big Baby nickname from. Out of Westside High School in Jacksonville, Florida, number 11. Got a typo there. That's actually Raylan Wilson, not Braylon Wilson. We certainly apologize for that. We will be doing our Dog Nation up-downs on that one. Recently decommitted from Michigan. We talked about Troy Bowles a lot already in the show. Troy Bowles is number 10 now on the top targets list. Number 9 is Samuel Mpemba, who I believe will be dropping his top 7 on Friday. The Dogs will certainly be in that one. Jonel Aguero, number 8, 5-star safety out of Massachusetts by way of IMG Academy. Number 7, James Smith, Carver High School, Montgomery, Alabama. Number 6, Hakeem Williams, Stranahan High School, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Really interesting. I don't have a tweet or I don't have a graphic for this, but there's a service online that checks they use some sort of analytics. They use some sort of hocus pocus algorithm or whatever, where they look at film and they track the max speed, GPS speed of these players on their highlight clips. And I think Hakeem was tracked at almost 23 miles an hour on one of his highlight plays. That was one of the 5 fastest players in the country on scores that they were tracking. Number 5, Tyler Williams. He just dropped the top 4, I think, and he's going to make his commitment date on a very special day for his family coming in September. Number 4, Quay Rusall, Carver High School, Troy, Alabama. Number 3, Caleb Downs, Mill Creek, Hoshton, Georgia. Number 2, 4-star running back Justice Haynes out of now at Buford High School in Buford, Georgia. He's moved since that graphic. We need to update that graphic as well. Got 2 up downs there. And number 1, 4-star defensive lineman Jamal Jarrett, Grimsley High School, Greensboro, North Carolina, set to make his decision on July 19th. Also, names to think about now. We've had some guys moving up and down here a lot. Rhett Womack wants to know about Sammy Brown. Hey, Rhett, I think there's a lot of schools that are really recruiting Sammy really well. Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Really impressive prospect for 2024, though, in a lot of ways. He hasn't made a B ever. That's the type of man that Georgia really likes to recruit and kind of build classes around. Other players to watch at, other players to think about there in the 2023 class. Let me see if I can pull it up on my screen as well. Tyree Adams, he recently dropped his top 4. Georgia made his top 4. LSU's in there, I believe. Florida and Texas A&M are in there. I really think that decision is going to come down to LSU and Georgia. Kelby Collins, that's a name that we welcoming a lot of Alabama fans into the chat tonight. That's a name from Gardendale, Alabama that the Dogs are doing something. I don't know. I don't know if he is as much a lock to Alabama as some might have thought a couple of months ago. I don't know whether that is evaluation differences from schools. But Kelby Collins is a guy that can do a terrific job for anyone in the SEC, even a Georgia or Alabama on the defensive line. He's out of Gardendale. 4-star Anthony Evans, we mentioned him earlier in our show. He's dropped the top 4, a Final 4. Jalen Hill out of Texas. Now, Jalen's an interesting guy to watch in this class because I think he would be great at wide receiver in this Georgia class, and I think he would. He's one of the top 45 players in the country, and I think Jalen could really thrive in Athens. But I think the fact that he's excuse me, I think the fact that he's in Texas, and now he's always thought about the chance to play with Arch Manning. I think those will be factors as well. Cameron James out of Florida at 6'6.5", defensive end, defensive lineman type, big upside there. Samson Okunlola, he was once on the top targets list, right around number 14 or 13. He's drifted off a little bit. 4-star cornerback Chris Peel out of North Carolina. TJ Shanahan, that's another name that I think is just, maybe not that top target type that he used to be. He's out of the state of Texas. He's taken official visits to LSU and Texas A&M. 4-star offensive lineman Kelton Smith. Kelton has been told by Georgia that he could play tackle or guard. Wouldn't mind playing all 5 positions at Georgia. He said he would play for the perfect school, the right school for himself. He said he would play anywhere across the line. Shamrad Umarov out of Denmark and Alpharetta. Going to make his decision in a couple of days. Damon Wilson out of Florida. Used to be Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia for him. I think it's going to come down to Bama or Georgia. Aiden Williams is a name that I've moved up a lot on the list. I think he's a wide receiver out of Mississippi that has a very impressive upside as well. Olaus Lennon out of Connecticut. Monroe Freeling, we mentioned him earlier as a potential offensive lineman. New name to the list. I've been hearing about him for the last couple of weeks. William Foles. He dropped Georgia in amongst his top 6 recently. as Georgia tries to figure out the wide receivers for this cycle. Andy Jean, another guy out of Florida, another 4-star wide receiver out of Florida. Connor Liu out of Kennesaw Mountain, a guy that could, things fall the right way for Georgia with offensive line, or a certain way for Georgia with offensive line. Connor Liu could wind up as a center in this class as well. Also, Jaden Wayne, we mentioned him earlier, and Caden McDonald. Xavier McLeod's another really impressive tackle out of South Carolina as well. Let's quickly break down the 2023 recruiting. What's changed with the 2023 class? Well, not much. They lost Raquez McElderry. They moved in Daniel Harris out of South Florida. They were number 6 a week ago. Now they're number 7. 5 guys on offense, 6 guys on defense, 1 guy on special teams, 5 in-state, 7 out-of-state. 1 5-star, that's Alabama corner A.J. Harris. 1 top 50 commit, still Harris. 4 top 100 commits, 5 top 150 commits. 10 of those 12 are in the SEC footprint. And 3 out of Georgia's 5 highest-rated commitments are on the offensive side of the ball. I think the way that ratio, I keep putting it in there this cycle with this for the 2023 class, is I think Georgia's probably going to want to find about 60% of their targets of their highest-rated commitments and signees. They need to be on the offensive side of the ball this year, because Georgia's got to balance out that slobber knocker, great gully washer of a 2022 defensive class with a lot of big-time offensive weapons as well. There you have it, guys. That is a quick tour through. Got a couple more things. But there's only one offer over the last cycle since the last time we had our show last Wednesday. One additional offer at wide receiver. Georgia has now offered 228 young men in the 2023 class, and those numbers are brought to you by 24/7 Sports. They do a great job citing 24/7 Sports on that. They do a great job of maintaining their databases on all things. We talked about the busy July. Let's do this. I got some tweets as we kind of just rip through a few things right there. If I see a question, I'm going to be sure to answer it. Got some folks talking about running backs. The thing I think everybody misses about Branson Robinson, guys, is he's a he's a high 4.4 guy, low 4.5 guy, 223, big, thick, powerful, strong. I think he's waiting for an opportunity at Georgia, which means he's never been on a team where he's been surrounded by offensive linemen and weapons and everything else. Now, I did see him a lot at the All-American game down at the Under Armour game, and I thought he would have looked a little bit better than he did because he was going to have weapons around him. But the speed of the game 'got a lot faster with all those guys on there. So it really is something he's going to have to get adjusted to physically, though, running the ball. 5'10", 223. He's probably one of the 3 strongest players on the Georgia team immediately when he moved into Athens. Just might have to wait a while behind Kendall Milton and Kenny McIntosh, the same way those 2 guys waited behind Zamir White and DeAndre Swift and James Cook and everything else like that. His hands aren't bad, Braden Harbook. I saw that. His hands aren't bad. I actually saw him catch the ball. I went and saw him a couple times in Mississippi. And one of my biggest questions was not how well he looked in a pair of shoulder pads or flexing, but how well he could catch the ball and like his quick initial burst. Really, really impressive teammate as well. That's one of the things that really stood out to me about Branson Robinson as well. Some things I saw over my mind over the last 3 or 4 days in terms of Georgia football recruiting, they were news to me. They were interesting to me. I hope they become interesting to you as well. Let's take a quick look at all those right now. I know we've looked at a few. The first one, I think we've seen the Troy Bowles. We've seen the Troy Bowles announcement of his top 3, his final 3. July 16th, again, that just adds to a huge July. If you guys are just getting to our show tonight, thank you for joining us. First off, from YouTube, from Facebook, from the Dog Nation homepage. But big month of July for Georgia. Carr. There were a couple here from Carr. Look how Carr did this. No edit, nothing major, nothing fancy. He's like, I'm just ready to be a dog. I would like to let the world know I'm committed to the University of Georgia. Quick in and out, kind of like one of his pass routes. Carr, it just always, he's one of those guys you hear about, love Georgia. There's also his teammate Landon Thomas at Colquitt County to think about now as well. Landon is the nation's #1 tight end for 2024, also at Colquitt County. Very impressive guy to think about there. And he said that other guys are going to be coming home soon as well. He was hinting at more 2024 targets on the way. I thought this was the tweet for me. Look at the smile on his face. Scott Cochran tells you a little bit about what he was going through right now, and it's so happy to see the smile on his face and what really matters, what's really important. Proud to be 1 year sober. This one means a little bit more than the rings. Look at that right there, 1 year sober for Scott Cochran. And, folks, that's what it's all about. He's made a change in his life for the better. His family will be better off for it. Scott Cochran will be better off for it. And Cochran, behind the scenes, guys, still a very effective recruiter for the University of Georgia, especially on the special team side, especially when all these guys come in. He has an incredible personality, and he's great right now. He's a great ambassador for the University of Georgia right now. The next list is Big Baby. Look at this. Everybody, you got any anime fans out there? I want to see – I know what it is, and I know see if you know. Tell me that you know what this top 10 is about and what it's in reference to here without telling me you know exactly what it is. If you see it right there, that's one of the most interesting top 10s you'll see in a while. It is a nod to anime. I thought it was very interesting. You look at all those teams down there on the list, and we're going to call them balls, and for certainly good reason with the balls here, especially in reference to the edit. But you see right there, no Alabama in that list, which I thought is very interesting. When you look at Georgia now, who they got to compete with, well, Larry Johnson in Ohio State, LSU, Florida, Oregon. It's about it. And, folks, that is a recruiting process. Mark my words, if Georgia is able to sign Jordan Big Baby Hall, you will remember that nickname the entire time he's in Athens, because he is going to tear some folks up. A very active presence across the defensive line for sure. Love that young man's story and everything he's talking about. Now, one thing about this, Big Baby is going to make the folks wait. He is going to take as long as it takes with his recruiting process. He's going to stretch that thing out like it is, grandma or grandpa's Caprice Classic. That thing is going to take forever and get stretched out before he makes his decision, because he's going to maximize his entire time as a coveted recruit. We mentioned this earlier, Samuel Mpemba out of IMG Academy, St. Louis native, going to drop his top 7 on Friday. And, folks, you're not going to believe me on this one. You're not going to believe me on this one. This young man right here skipped a grade. He's 14 years old. His name is Tyler Parker. He's in Santa Margarita Catholic. That's in California. He was that's the same school that produced Hero Canoe. That young man is a 14-year-old football player. He's really a class of 2026, but he skipped a grade level and reclassified to the 2025 class. We didn't CGI this. Michael didn't Photoshop this. We didn't run it through. We didn't supersize him or whatever. We didn't use one of these incredible digital effects or Photoshop filters or whatever, or a Snapchat filter. That guy's 14 years old. You guys are probably going to remember that picture right there as much as anything out of Top Targets. A few more, 3 more, and 3 pretty big ones, I would think. This is a 2024 guy out of Lee County High School. He dropped a top 10. Omar White. Georgia is in this top 10. So here are the good things for folks to pay attention to. No Ohio State. No Florida. Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, A&M. That's his top 10. So Omar White, guys, I'm going to tell you, if he was in the 2023 class right now, he would be on the top 10 on the top targets. I've seen this young man play live. I saw this young man play last year against Warner Robins. Looked like one of the best defensive linemen in the state. He was just a sophomore at that time. Really impressive. Trey Scott was actually down there. That was in Warner Robins for that game. Trey Scott was down there. Those 2 guys, know each other very well. There's a kinship there between Travion Scott already and Omar White. That is a big top 10. Folks, when I drop a top 10 inside top targets for the 2024 class, that one right there, 6'5", 310 or so, moves very well, aggressive, physical. Would be the type of defensive lineman for Georgia that they had on the defensive line for the national championship team. That's what they have right there. Omar White, Lee County High School. Remember that name. I love this one right here. This is from the mother of Tyler Williams. That's Shan Williams, and her handle on Twitter is called Mommy of the Year. Look at this one. This is, folks, I'm going to tell you, this is about NIL. I'm not pimping my child out to the highest bidder. His happiness and growth is far more important. I raised a dog that won't be outworked, so I know the money opportunities are going to come. Mama straight, follow your dreams. Hashtag. Tyler Williams, love his story. If you guys haven't heard the story or read the story on DogNation.com, Tyler Williams was a third-string quarterback going into at the spring practice at the end of his sophomore season going into his junior year. Didn't get any reps at all. Didn't play at all in the spring game before his junior year. Right before his junior season began, he switched to wide receiver. He had 5 touchdowns in his first game at wide receiver. 3 of those counted. Became an All-American. Became a Georgia priority. And the final tweet of the night is simply this. He has whittled down his schools to a final group. September 27th is when he will make his decision. And so, guys, this is a recruitment the University of Georgia absolutely has to win. If you guys want an electric offensive core, you want a guy that can go and get the ball, can be something, can be one of those first or second rounders 3 years down the line. This is your man, Tyler Williams right there. He has a final 5. Those are the 5 schools he's taking on his official visits. He's already visited Clemson, Georgia A&M, and South Carolina. South Carolina wasn't even a part of his top 10, and they made his final 5 because they got an official visit late. And Ole Miss is going to get an official visit on September the 4th. The weekend of September the 4th, Ole Miss is playing Troy. So those are his final 5. Georgia is definitely heavily in the mix there for Tyler Williams out of Lakeland High School in Lakeland, Florida. One thing you got to love about Tyler Williams, he's on a high school team with, I think, 21 guys that hold a Division I offer. A few things to say, guys. Number one, thanks for joining us here on Before the Hedges. Most importantly, thanks for participating in interactive Before the Hedges with getting that fan turned on right now. But one more thing, guys. Now through the end of summer is summer grilling. Speaking of grilling on your back deck, gear up for grilling. Turn up the heat and the flavor with new favorites for every dish over the summer. Kroger has you covered for all your outside entertaining needs. Visit your local Kroger today or Kroger.com/summer-grilling. That was your Kroger read for tonight. Anything else, guys, you got to say? Once again, thank you guys for joining us, stepping in on Before the Hedges, hanging out with old Jeff here on the back deck. Let me see. Hugh Nash. Lots of folks are wondering where's Peaches at. Where's Peaches at? Maybe I can get somebody from my backstage staff to bring Peaches. Beer Cans and Baddies has a thought. He wants to know the money from the Texas schools. I'm going to tell you guys, those guys are going to empty the wallets trying to secure the best players that they can. Come here, Peaches. You guys asked. This is an interactive show. Come here, Peaches. Come here, Peaches. Come on. There's Peaches right there. Look at that. She got groomed recently. Look at that. She's got her collar on. She's got her nice little bandana on. The groomer always gives her a nice bandana. That's the back deck. Hugh Nash. Yep, that's the star of the show. That's the star of the show. I tell you, like that back deck, guys. Look at that. Not bad. Samuel Burson has a question. He says, you would love to see a rule where every recruit has to take their 5 official visits before committing. Too many times we've seen players commit to school, then say, I'm still going to take the OV for it, and then decommit. Yeah, that's always crazy when young men decide to commit and then take their official visits out of there. Let's go, Brandon. That is a golden doodle. Let's go. Let me see. Randy Hall wants to know my surprise player for the team this year. Well, we wrote about this on DogNation.com this week. The freshman I'm most looking forward to seeing probably going to be either Marvin Jones Jr. or Mikael Williams. I chose Mikael Williams just because he looked like the best player in the country I saw at all the All-American events back in January. Gosh, that seemed like such a long time ago. And probably the guy that needs to be the surprise player for the team this year. I think it probably needs to be Brett Thorson, the punter, just because he's the most likely unproven newcomer that needs to fare well in kind of a marquee starting position. The other guy will say, and you know what? I actually like this answer better. I like this answer better. I think a guy that, what is that? I remember like old school Casey Kasem, top 40s in my mind right here. My pick to click, that better click for the University of Georgia, is the inside linebacker Shmuel Munden Jr. out of Paulding County. I think it's his time. I think he's athletic. I think he's going to give the Georgia a lot of that athleticism that Channing Tindall did a year ago, and I think he's had a chance to see what it takes, and he's got a chance to learn from guys like Jamon Dumas Johnson and Nakobe Dean and Coy Walker and Channing Tindall. So I really think that's a guy nobody's talking about that I think really has to play big for the Dogs this year. I think Cedric Von Prine Granger will have an NFL money bag year, which will be great. I think Kenny McIntosh will be great. I think Ladd McConkey will continue to show folks that he might be as good as any – he might be a top 10 receiver in the SEC right now. He might even be better than that by the time the season gets halfway through. I think you can say the same probably for both Ladd McConkey and A.D. Mitchell. I think both of those guys could wind up maybe second or third team All-SEC guys by the time the season is over. Those are guys that should get you very excited about the season up ahead. Anthony Spivey, that's a good name. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins as a sleeper for the 2022 season. I think Lassiter's a guy that's got to play really well as well, that other cornerback spot. Be very interesting to see how quickly Jaheim Singletary can acclimate himself to the Georgia secondary. Folks, there's no joke here. The Georgia secondary isn't the easiest thing to pick up on. Very hard for first-year players to do that, especially on an outside boundary corner, even if you just tell the guy to cover the guy, because Georgia doesn't really do that. Frederick Meredith, that's a good question. I think Trez Marshall is probably the guy more likely to play. Trez Marshall is one of those dogs that, however talented he may be, he's a guy that has had a lot of times, a lot of hard trouble, a lot of adversity trying to stay healthy at the linebacker position. Let me see. Guys, it's been a great Wednesday night. I want to say thanks to everybody for joining us. Thanks for stopping by. You guys could be anywhere in the world right now, but you're on the back deck here with me and Peaches talking Georgia football on a hot July Wednesday night. I thank you for that. Just want to say, guys, check out dognation.com. If I don't get a story up tonight, it will go up sometime tomorrow morning about a big-time target in the 2023 class that calls Georgia his leader at this time. That, my friends, is your intel for tonight. I'm Jeff Sintel. You guys be well. Have yourself a great week. Hope you guys had a safe and happy 4th. God bless everybody out there. Tell everybody that you love them. Hug their necks. Don't be shy. And have yourself a great weekend. And we'll see you guys again on the pages of dognation.com. And quick tease, next week we'll have another 2023 commitment in the house for a live interview on Dog Nation's Before the Hedges, brought to you by Kroger. Peace out, everybody. See you soon. We'll take it easy.